right, if everyone will have a seat, we'll get the meeting started.
Water, ma'am. Go water. Oh.
Thank you, Mayor Blake. All right, this is the Space Coast Transportation Planning and Governing Board meeting, and we will bring this meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge, and when we have the pledge, we'll have a moment of silence because this is 9/11, and it's a moment to remember those. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, shit. All right, you may be seated. Zoe, please conduct roll call.
Atkinson, Altman, Allender, Blake, Capizzi, Cole, Connors, Delaney, Feltner, Forrester, Foy, Goodson, Hammer, Hanley, Jaffe, Johnson, Kennedy, Smith, Young,
Here.
and then we do have 2 alternates, but your members are present today.
All right, thank you. We have a quorum. Thank you. Currently, members of the public are invited to offer general comments unrelated to agenda items. Do we have any public comments? We have any cards? No. And comments will be limited to 3 minutes. There is a slide up right now. If you could bring your attention to the slide. Are we going to do the Vision Zero slide?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. All right, thank you very much. This is for Brevard County, these numbers I'm going to give you. As we carry on with our commitment to Vision Zero, here's the slide that depicts how our community has been impacted by crash fatalities. The crash data was gathered on August 19th from Signal 4 and Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles in Brevard. There were 82 crash fatalities in 2024. There have been 47 crash fatalities in 2025 as of now. Since the last governing board meeting on just July 10th, 63 days ago, there have been 11 fatalities. The first 3 news stories highlight recent local fatal crashes involving vulnerable road users. A bicyclist struck by a car on July 10th, a motorcyclist struck by a guardrail on July 12th. No, he was not struck by the guardrail. He struck the guardrail. Sorry. And an e-bike rider was struck by a car on August 17th. Another devastating loss was a 32-year-old nurse and mother of 3 who was killed after her van was struck by another vehicle that had experienced a tire blowout on May 26th. I think we probably all remember hearing about that. The loss of so many people in our community should motivate us to work together and achieve the goal of 0 serious injuries and fatalities. That's quite disturbing. All right, we will move on with reports. Georgiana, Executive Director's report.
All right, good to see everyone, members. You have several attachments in your agenda package that are informational, including the fiscal year 25 operating budget, our 3rd quarterly report. Also, I did want to let you know the Executive Committee met prior to this meeting. Our attorney, Ms. Ottinger, has turned in her resignation, and she will be leaving us, unfortunately. She's done good work for us, really good work. But we did discuss with the Executive Committee the need to work with a firm that is more local, that has MPO experience, and Laura has reached out to a firm for Metroplan Orlando. And so the Executive Committee gave us direction to start working on an agreement and some negotiations. And so that will be coming to you here in the very near future. So we just wanted to give you a heads up about that. And then I'd like to ask Abby to come up. I'd like for her to report on several Golden Image Awards from the Florida Public Relations Association that the TPO won, and report on our public engagement.
Thank you, Georgiana. My name is Abby Hemingway. I'm the Public Information and Outreach Manager for the Space Coast TPO, and we're proud to share that our organization brought home multiple awards at the recent 2025 Florida Public Relations Association Golden Image Awards Gala. This is one of the state's most prestigious awards programs for public relations excellence. We received a total of 4 awards. So the first one was an award of distinction for a special event that we held last year, our Fast Forward Workshop Series, Advancing Transportation on the Space Coast. And an award of distinction recognizes entries that really meet a standard of excellence. Led by our senior transportation planner, Sarah Crom, this forward-thinking event series spotlighted the ways that we involve the public in one of our largest core work products, the Long Range Transportation Plan, which we'll be adopting hopefully today. So big thanks to our friends in the room, HGR, for their support of that specific project as well. And then next, we received a Judges Award, which is presented for impressive return on investment, a Golden Image Award, which is a top scoring entry in the category, and a Grand Golden Image Award in the category of news release or pitch for our Safer Tracks Ahead rail crossing grant announcement. So this specific news release was a big one for our organization. It served as our first public announcement of securing this large-scale safety grant. So a huge thanks to our team and partners who really helped make these projects successful, and to get this recognition as MPO TPO is amazing. Rarely do government agencies get this recognition. It's your larger PR firms, so kudos all around. All right, so before we chat about some upcoming activities for September and October, we're kind of switching up the way that we do this report. It has been a minute since we've seen you all, so bear with us. Our efforts are going to be covered in a little bit more of a comprehensive manner. So at first, we're going to talk about kind of large-scale program updates when we talk about public involvement. So looking from a bird's eye view, wanted to share some updates. The TPO recently developed a brand new brand guide that really enhances our visibility. So it's designed to help us tell our story, not just with our consultants for consistency of logo use and that kind of thing, but it ties together our unified visual identity to our community. So whether we're out at a chamber event where Georgiana is speaking, or we're out at a school where Leah might be talking to students, all of our materials are starting to kind of reinforce our brand and what we look like. So some of the materials, apart from the brand guide, that are new, we have an updated TPO one-pager, and that's out on the table. If you're interested, you can grab one on your way out. It really reinforces our mission, vision, role. We have our Transportation Improvement Program fact sheet, talks about how we prioritize our projects and how we help fund them. And then we have a transportation data rack card, which really highlights some of the programs and reports that you can scan a QR code and dig more into the data piece. So, these resources are really designed to help empower not just our staff, but partners, community members, our committee and board members as well. You're welcome to, at any time, request materials from us if you're out in the community. And then here on the right, so after 25 plus years, the TPO has made a decision to sunset our school bike trailer program. And for those who might be new to this board, I kind of want to give a background on what this was. So we had a bicycle trailer program that was created to provide bicycles to trained PE teachers in our school communities to teach bike safety education. But after many, many, many years of use, 25 plus, this was through a grant program that's no longer available. The bicycles and trailers have really reached their end of life cycle. They're kind of posing significant safety issues at this point. Also identifying some aging equipment, equitable participation across schools. Unfortunately, some kids don't even know how to ride a bike anymore, and we have some new things, right, like scooters and things like that, that they're learning how to ride first. So again, some of the risk factors are wear and tear on bicycles, outdated safety features, and limited availability of replacement parts. Some of the parts to replace are actually more costly than the bike itself that was purchased in the early 90s. So we did consult our vendor who normally maintains these bikes, and it was their recommendation to actually dispose of these bikes. They're not even safe to donate because they're so old. So after consulting with that bicycle shop owner, and also we reached out to Waste Management. We're working with Keep Brevard Beautiful to do it in a responsible manner, and we're really excited about how this program is going to evolve. It's not stopping. This one physical asset part may be, retiring, but Leah has developed a really great resource guide for our PE teachers. There's some really cool off-bike curriculum to teach kids these safety features. That's what it's all about. It's not about how to learn to ride a bike. It's about teaching them these safety measures. So So we're excited for the ways that it's going to change. Still hosting community bike rodeos where kids can bring their own bikes so we know that they know how to ride. So it's just an evolution, and we're excited to see the way that it changes. So that's an update there. All right, just so high level, since the last time we saw each other for the quarterly communications, this is just a snapshot of some of the ways that we have engaged with our community online. So I'm not going to go into everything right here, but I do want to call attention specifically to some of our news media coverage that we had over the last quarter. Really kind of shows visibility out in the community that was project-based, and some of our safety initiatives. We had a lot of great web traffic over the last quarter, most likely because we had some public comment periods. Also, we had our open house in June, which is why you see a spike there in our social media content engagement. We had boosted that event so that we had a larger participation level. And then you can kind of see top performing content down here at the bottom is really, the public is really interested in educational and informational posts. So whether that's about a project meeting that DOT might be doing, or an awareness campaign that we are doing, and kind of shows you their interest level and where they're at. And just one standout up here, I do want to just draw attention to some of the media coverage we got. One of them was Florida Today did a whole gallery for us for Stop on Red, an event that Lee is going to talk more about here, but just shout out to our partners there. They really help amplify our message. All right, moving on for social media. This is just some upcoming topics for the remainder of September. We have National Roundabout Week, yes, everyone's favorite topic, but we're going to be talking about some of the safety measures of roundabouts. We have Child Passenger Safety Week. We have a lot of cool events that some of our local partners are doing that week that we'll be highlighting. And then October, we have a lot planned for Pedestrian Safety Month. So stay tuned to our local channels on social media. And then here's just a snapshot of some of our community partnerships and stakeholders that we continue to work with. This was just this quarter alone since last time we saw you. And it really just kind of shows continued collaboration with schools, local governments, law enforcement, nonprofits. And it really just remains essential working together because we cannot do this alone. It takes a village to reinforce the importance of traffic safety. So thank you to our partners. If you're not up here, I promise you, you will be in the future, but just kind of a snapshot of who we've been working with. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Leah Nepo, our Community Engagement Coordinator. She's going to chat a little bit more about our boots on the ground activities. Yeah, of course. Thanks. Of course.
Great presentation, but what I'm wondering is, I'm glad to see that we have printed content, but is it a way that we can get some of that digital also sent to us
Absolutely.
directly? And
Absolutely.
maybe even in the presentation, because since I've been coming to the meetings, I'm really looking for a way to sort of walk away with takeaways, something that we could just quickly update,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of printed, but
Yeah.
I'm looking for digital.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's connect afterwards, and I can make sure if it's something that Zoe can send out to the entire board, if that's easier. But yeah, happy to provide that. Okay. Go ahead, Leah.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Leah Nepo, and I am the Community Engagement Coordinator for the Space Coast TPO, and I've been in that role for the last 6 months. And a powerful approach to advocating for traffic safety and earning recognition in the community is through outreach events, which can range from speaking engagements, helmet fits, tabling events, or transformative SCTPO-led events. That can be as specific or as broad of a scope as we would like, and being a part of public involvement means that the TPO is staying very busy in the community with, just from the last governing board meeting to now, we've had 17 events, probably more, and reaching cities as far north as Titusville and as far south as Palm Bay. So today we're going to dive deeper into what we've done and what we have to look forward to. Perfect. So a lot of what we can do here cannot be accomplished without our partnerships, so that's what we're highlighting. Back in July, Abby and I attended Brevard Schools Foundation's 2025 Back to School Blast Off Supply Giveaway in Cocoa at the Clear Lake Education Center. This event had a huge turnout, with us meeting face-to-face with well over 500 students and supplying them with physical traffic safety items such as bike lights, helmet covers, safety vests, and educational comic books and coloring books ahead of the new school year. In that middle section there in August, the TPO led a helmet fit alongside Health First, FDOT's D5 Safety Office, and OSHA Planning at the Palm Bay Police Department's National Night Out. This annual event honors police involvement in the community and garners a large crowd of individuals Individuals that stepped away with helmets fitted perfectly to their head and equipped with materials that taught them the importance of bike safety as well. At this event alone, and in the span of only 2 hours, we were able to fit 60 heads that did not previously ride with a helmet. And off to the side there, during that first week of August, the TPO participated in Stop on Red Week, which we will discuss a little bit later, but that was a huge collaboration with multiple agencies, and it led to a very large success. So when you think about the approach to traffic safety, you typically think of the 3 E's: engineering, enforcement, and education, and the public involvement team really hones in on that education piece. So we continued to do that throughout the summer. Our executive director, Georgiana Gillette, spoke at chamber luncheons throughout the county, educating them on who the TPO is, how our roads work, and how every community member can be involved. And additionally, as you may know, the TPO led a 2-part workshop series with the city of Cape Canaveral throughout the summer, specific to aging road users. And in August, we completed that second part and called upon our partners at the city of the Cape Canaveral and Brevard County Sheriff's Office to lead presentations as well, educating aging road users on their specific risks, but also their specific resources in the community, and highlighted the city's efforts in their enforcement and engineering strides. Okay, and a new section to the public involvement report is an event spotlight to highlight how our large-scale outreach events are developed and implemented. The first full week of August is nationally recognized as Stop on Red Week, which was created by the Federal Highway Administration and spearheaded by the National Coalition for Safer Roads. This campaign aims to educate drivers about the dangers of red light running and reduce the number and severity of related crashes. The urgency of this work is clear. In 2023, 84 people were killed and an estimated 681 were seriously injured in Florida due to red light running. Nationwide, 1 in 3 Americans will know somebody who has been injured or killed in such a crash. So the TPO supports this initiative by assisting communities with awareness campaigns while running our own. To expand our local outreach, we developed a Stop on Red toolkit available on our website and through our social medias. And the toolkit included not only graphics with these key statistics, but also interactive resources such as coloring books, coloring pages, and word searches to engage all ages. We also coordinated our own on-the-ground campaign, meaning we intended to gather volunteer sign waivers to spread the message, and that's what we did. We partnered with the City of West Melbourne and West Melbourne Police Department in recognition of their traffic safety and Vision Zero efforts. The event location was identified way back in April, the intersection of Hollywood Boulevard and Evans Roads on US 192, which was recently upgraded for safety with TPO funding and is along our high injury network, making it an impactful location. We invited out guest speakers, including Chief Greg Vesta of West Melbourne PD, Lorraine Bobo, the FDOT's District 5 Safety Office Administrator, Mayor of West Melbourne and our board chair, Ms. Andrea Young, Melissa Wandel, President of the National Coalition for Safer Roads and founder of the Mark Wandel Foundation, and our Executive Director, Georgiana Gillette. The week began with a display at West Melbourne PD where red pinwheels and an explanatory sign were placed along Minton Road, and the display stayed throughout the whole week. And the sign waving event itself was made possible through collaborations with several partners, including the City of West Melbourne, FDOT, D5, West Melbourne Police Department, Health First, Space Coast Health Foundation, the Brevard County Tax Collector's Office, City of Melbourne, Space Coast Area Transit. Media coverage was strong, with multiple outlets reporting on the event, including a front page feature in the local newspaper and several press releases leading to. And on the day of the event, more than 50 sign waivers, including several elected officials and Commissioner Hanley, braved the August heat for 2 hours, listened to our speakers, and took part in this life-saving awareness campaign. Simultaneously, the West Melbourne Police Department conducted an enforcement operation at the intersection. Notably, one driver was pulled over for running a red light during the event itself. A powerful reminder of the continued need for this education and enforcement. So this is a really big annual outreach event, and it takes a huge lift and a huge village, and it's clear that we most certainly have it, and it demonstrated our countywide effort to eliminate these preventable crashes. Okay, so upcoming in the fall, we have a lot more outreach events, even more than what is on the slide. So particularly important, I'm just going to highlight, is on October 1st, our crosswalk pop-up sign waving event, reminding drivers to yield to pedestrians and encouraging pedestrians to practice safe walking habits, will be happening at 5th and Palm in Indialantic. And October 8th is our national annual Walk and Roll to School Day. The TPO has already put out our toolkit and distributed to each school. And as of today, with it being a little less than a month away, we have 20 schools registered to join in on the fun and encourage students to travel in a fun and alternative way. So as always, you can stay in the know in a lot of different ways. Connect with us instantly over social media. So share our flyers, share us your flyers, because an outreach opportunity is always available. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leah. That was a mouthful. You did a great job. Thank you. All right, we'll go to our next item, which is item B, Technical and Citizens Advisory Committee report. Georgiana.
On Monday, the Technical and Citizens Advisory Committee met. At your place, you have a summary of actions. The TAC-CAC recommended unanimous approval of all of the action items that are before you. You also have the draft meeting minutes from the July 7th meeting, and the attendance record are in the agenda package. So that is the report.
All right, thank you. Sarah, the Bicycle, Pedestrian, and Trails Advisory Committee.
Good afternoon, Sarah Crom, Senior Transportation Planner. The Bicycle and Pedestrian Trails Advisory Committee met on August 25th. They received the same presentations you'll receive today on the Southern Brevard Trails Master Plan, North Maritime Pioneer Trail Feasibility Study, and potential new east-west trail connections. Due to the timing of the agenda package, we were unable to finalize draft minutes from the October meeting in time, so those will be included in the October agenda package. The BPAC meets again on October 27th. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. The Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board, Patty.
Patty Rendon, Transportation Planner. The Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board met on August 11th, 2025. Highlights of the meeting include the Community Outreach Report, Volunteers in Motion 2025 second quarter report from March to June, approval of Resolution 26-04, PLC-8, the TDLCB policy amendment updates, and presentations of the Advanced 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan, Cost Feasible Plan, and the Vision Zero 2024 annual report. The next TDLCB meeting is scheduled for 10:30 in the morning, November 17th, 2025.
Thank you. The Space Coast Area Transit, Terry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Terry Jordan, Space Coast Area Transit. Excuse me, I'll be giving current ridership-related updates of transit services. So our current year-to-date ridership reflects an increase of 5% over prior year's ridership. We're just over 1.7 million riders. Our most recent monthly ridership saw a 1.74% increase compared to the same month prior last year. This is about 154,000 riders. We're just reflecting about 2,000 more trips in the most recent month's ridership than the prior month. So keeping with this trend, we expect that we'll be just under 2 million riders for the fiscal year when it closes at the end of the month. Our paratransit ridership also continues to show gains, closing the fiscal year with a 7% increase over the prior fiscal year, and total monthly totals are showing about 7,000 riders per month on average currently. Those are my ridership reports. Glad to answer any questions.
Yes, Mr. Smith.
Question. Thank you, Terry. My question, I'm just thinking, and thank you for providing that information, but when it comes to Space Coast Area Transit, how do you all plan where your next stops will be or different routes and things like that?
So for upcoming routes or future routes, there is something called a Transit Development Plan, which is an annual product that is produced, and a 5-year plan is done a 10-year plan is done every 5 years, and we just completed the TDP about 2 months ago, presented to this board. So what it does, it takes a look at the current service, the current trends in the area, growth in the area, and then we plan according to that. However, plans are great, but one of the biggest things that I'm thankful for the county commissioners that are in attendance today, but plans are great. However, there's funding that's needed to implement these routes. A large portion of the funding that we use is federal and state funding to implement routes, and service development grants are a good vehicle that we use, which gets it off and running, but after 2 years, it has to be locally funded. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we have, is the money going in to ensure that we can plan the routes. One thing, I'm not sure, I didn't look at the agenda, but the mobility and demand study that we are partnering with the TPO staff on currently, and Kittleson and Associates, one of those things that will allow for smaller, what's called micro-transit to be implemented in the areas where we don't have to run a full 40-foot bus, but we could operate a smaller vehicle and still provide a service at a level that people can get to their destination without having to walk out to a bus stop.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Terry? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Florida Department of Transportation report, Chuck Capano.
Thanks, Matt. Good afternoon, everyone. Chuck Hoppernoll with Florida Department of Transportation. First, I want to start out with some project highlights. First of all, we have 2 major resurfacing projects that are gearing up for construction, expecting to kick off by mid-October. Starting with State Road 513 from State Road 518 to Patrick's Space Force Base, and State Road 404 from US 1 to State Road A1A. Along with those upcoming projects, we also have completed our A1A pedestrian safety project along A1A from Crescent Beach Drive to just south of Minuteman Causeway, which received final acceptance on August 13th, 2025. The project includes a total of 12 new pedestrian crossings, 6 to the northbound and 6 to the southbound. The full August construction report is included with your agenda packet. It contains detailed updates on other projects as well that are not covered in this presentation. And if you have any questions on those, I'd be happy to address them at the end of this meeting. And a couple events. Designated on the first week of September was the Drowsy Driving Prevention Week. Drowsy driving is often underestimated compared to drunk driving. In 2023, 633 fatalities linked to drowsy driving, which are mostly single drivers between midnight and 6 a.m. driving at high speeds with no evidence of braking. They compare that getting less than 4 hours of sleep is roughly the equivalent of a 0.12 blood alcohol content. Also, an upcoming event on the next meeting. Joseph Fontanelli will be here to discuss the PD&E projects for both State Road 501 and 524. So that will be the October meeting. With that, that's the end of my report, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Yes, Mayor
He recognizes
Capizzi.
I don't do it.
Mayor Capizzi, yes, you have a question?
Yeah, I guess it's more of like a comment. I guess I assume many of you probably got notifications that you need to get stuff removed from your sidewalks or your streets or something like that. It's just another comment, more collaboration before implementation. So I just want to make sure that, you know, we have a much better collaborative environment than just kind of than we currently have.
All right, thank you. Any other comments for Mr. Coppernoll? Yes, Commissioner Delaney.
Thank you. I was wondering if you had any information about the Citrus Boulevard Bridge that goes over 95. It got a truck ran into it and caused a whole thing, and I just didn't know if you had any kind of update.
I do not. That would be Brevard Ops would have something, but I can reach out to them and find something out for you.
I would
Madam.
appreciate that. Thank
Okay,
you.
no problem.
And another thing that I was wondering about was I'm trying to figure out who the right person to talk to about some of the stormwater issues that we're having in North Brevard and getting ditches maintained and things like that, as far as ones that are FDOT maintained. And where do I go for that? Because I'm trying to
What might be
figure
a
that
good
out,
good way to start that, Madam Commissioner, is if you give me a list of where, on what roads they're on, and I can hand that over to maybe a drainage design or Brevard Ops, both of them, and find out which ones we can
pretty
address.
much anything you have in MIM Scottsmore
Yeah,
and
where?
Port St. John. MIM, Scottsmore, Port St. John, and Cocoa.
Okay.
Pretty much my whole district.
District 2?
One, District 1.
Or 1, sorry. District 1.
Any other questions for Mr. Coppernoll? Yes. Mayor Connors.
Well, Chuck, always good to see you. Appreciate you. Titusville is in District 1 as well. But what I would like to say is really grateful you guys are repaving US 1 in downtown. Unfortunately, somebody cut a big hole in it as you guys were repaving it. That was us as a city. There was a water lane break, but we cut a big hole in it. So I'm sure we'll have to coordinate to figure out how to get that fixed. It was just repaved, and we just cut a big hole in it. So but I appreciate the close coordination with our road project there in Titusville. Thank you.
Good.
Any other questions for Mr. Coppernoll? No? I have a question. 192, US 192, it seems like, there's a huge project going on there, but it seems to have stopped. What's the delay? Why have we stopped?
Do you want to ask that question? Madam Mayor, at this time, they are currently doing the ITS equipment install. So typically, there's not going to be very visible crews around for that. It's pretty quiet, I guess you could say, not so many, I guess. That's the only thing I can really think of right now.
Well, that
But
IT
that's the
is very
stage that
important.
they're in.
So
Mhm.
thank you. Thank you very much for that information. I'll relay that back to my residents. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Anything else?
Right here.
Ms. Hanlon? Yeah. Mr. Jaffe?
I mean, just to the point of 192, there's single lanes that are paved and other lanes aren't paved. So if you're crossing over it, people are literally stopping because the pavement's almost 2 inches thick.
Mhm. You mean that little bump you get?
It's more than
the
a little,
uneven.
Yeah, it's more than a little bump. Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's all about the pattern on how they lay the asphalt. I mean, that's typical when you see like they're paving the main lanes and they leave the turn lanes
Yeah. It's
for a
just
little
all
later.
the equipment's demobilized. So
Yeah.
Just trying to understand like why there's no equipment there if they're going to continue paving. Usually that's a big cost of any road project is mob and demob, and
Right.
there's literally no equipment anywhere to be seen. So aside from the technology of it, why isn't any of the horizontal work being done?
So there are these issues. Wow, we're not seeing some. Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Coppernoll? All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Good
Yes, ma'am.
report. Thank you so much. All right, next item, item number 4, consent agenda. Georgiana, would you please read the consent agenda for the record?
Absolutely. The consent agenda can be approved in one motion. 4A is the approval of the TPO Governing Board meeting minutes of July 10th. 4B is committee appointments. We have 2 new CAC committee members from Palm Bay. 4C is the adoption of Resolution 26-06, our fiscal year 26 operating budget. No changes since the draft was presented to you in July. And then 4D is approval of Work Order 26-20K. It's the Vision Zero Speed Management and Lighting Study that we are going to be embarking on.
All right, Ms. Hanley, you had a question? Can you speak into the mic?
I'm sorry. Can we pull 4B and have a discussion on that one? B. 4B. B is a boy.
Okay.
It's on page 52 and 53, if you want to look. I'm just kind of looking at one of their people that they are putting here, Mr. Filiberto. Since his run-in with the law, I just find it hard to put him on here with having some DUIs and things like that. on our roads, doing this in our type of committees and all that. I just think that he shouldn't be on the committee.
Any other comments on this?
Pardon me?
Any other I'm asking the board, are there any other comments you'd like to join in on this?
I wasn't paying attention.
Palm Bay, what do you guys think about that?
She wasn't concerned about the DUI stuff involved with the man.
With Philip Burrell?
Yeah.
I mean, most of the charges were dropped and he was on probation. He never served any jail time, so.
But it wasn't his first one either. That was his, he's had 2 DUIs beforehand, and now we're putting him on this board. I find it a little bit, disconcerting of that.
Maybe he has a unique perspective that none of us have.
I mean,
I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know.
It does sound like he drives a lot. I mean, my personal opinion, I think we should defer judgment to the city of Palm Bay, who's appointing them. It's their call.
Yeah.
I think, we shouldn't overstep that. So, whatever Palm Bay thinks.
I made the appointment. I made the appointment. I'm good with my appointment.
All right, so with that,
If he's good with it, shall I,
all right, so we have a motion to accept the consent agenda as written by Mayor Blake. Second by Mr. Allender. All right, all those in favor of accepting the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, consent agenda is finished. Approval, Resolution 26-04, TPO policy. Laura.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Carter, Assistant Director of Space Coast TPO. Before you today, we have a couple amendments to 2 of our policies. The first one I'm going to cover is PLC 1, our Agency Organization and Operation Policy Amendment. A discussion arose at our last Executive Committee meeting in August about serving as chair of the TPO and what the requirements would be. What was recommended was adding language that would be, I'm going to quote it exactly what we added to the policy. Commencing January 1st, 2017, eligibility to serve as chair shall also include serving on the TPO Executive Committee for at least 1 year prior to filling the chair position. So what this will mean and why that date is important. Yeah, sure.
Just for the record, 2027, not 2017.
Oh, did I say 17? I'm sorry. You're correct. Yeah, it's 2027. So for this upcoming election cycle that we will have in December appointing chair, this will not apply. But if you're interested in serving as chair the following year for 2027, you would need to be considered to be on the executive committee for this upcoming year, 2026. So in December, we'll go over this a little bit clearer again, so you'll understand eligibility to serve as chair if you so approve this policy change. But right now, for the upcoming elections in December, it won't apply. But if you want to be chair the following year, you need to be put on the executive committee for 2026. Reminder, the executive committee is comprised of our 3 officer positions, the chair, vice chair, and secretary, and there are 2 are at large. So if you're not serving in an officer position, you would want to serve as one of those at-large members. And so then we have elections in 2026 for 2027. You will then be required to have that requirement to have been on the executive committee. I'll pause there. Does that make sense?
Is there comment on that or no?
Okay. The second one is administrative in a way. Annually, as required by the Transportation Disadvantage Grant, we are required to review the TDLCB policy. Upon the review this past year, a few items were noted that were recommended and approved by the TDLCB meeting at their August meeting. And those changes included revising their quorum requirements. Right now, it's not a set number. It can change from meeting to meeting because it's based on the number of filled positions. The recommendation is to change that to a set number of 7, which would be the new quorum requirements. As effective July 1st this past year, previously, the Space Coast Area Transit staff administered this committee. It has always been a committee under the TPO. And so July 1st this year, Space Coast Area staff, we took over the administration of that committee. So language has been updated to reflect that. Additional information on the policy changes, clarification of when the election of the vice chair is conducted, and some other minor grammatical changes and spelling corrections were made. And with that, we ask for approval of the resolution 26-04.
Mr. Counters?
I know Mayor Capizzi, I think, wanted to have a discussion on PLC 1 about the eligibility to be chair. Just from serving on the executive committee, the discussion that we had was, just about succession planning, because as
Can you speak into the mic?
I'm trying. As Mayor Young can attest, there's a lot to learn in being chair and all the work that she puts into it. So we felt it'd be important that somebody at least kind of get their feet wet and see what goes on behind the scenes before, taking chair, because, we're not going to be blessed with Mayor Young forever.
So then whoever is the new chair will automatically be on that executive committee, so they'll have that year in when they want to be chair for 27. Just for clarification. Is that correct, Laura?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. With that, is there a motion to accept the resolution?
So moved.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Blake. Motion, Mr. Blake, and second, Ms. Foy.
We have leadership. That's what we need.
All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries. I'm sorry, did not see a nay. Who said nay? Mr. Capizzi. I'm sorry, Mayor Capizzi. Motion carries except for one. Mayor Capizzi, thank you. All right, next item is approval of the Executive Director Fiscal Year 25 Performance Evaluation, Ms. Ottinger. She's left me. Where did she go? Here she is, right behind me. Thank you.
I'm a step ahead. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kristen Ottinger, legal counsel for the Space Coast TPO, and it is my goal today to discuss with you the 2025 fiscal year director's evaluation. You're going to be tasked with adopting the executive committee's director evaluations and also approving the director's merit recommendation from the executive committee. To summarize Mrs. Gillette's rating this year, she was rated in a total of 17 categories that was evaluated by the executive committee. The categories ranged from TPO leadership to management, critical thinking, organization, and many areas and tasks in between. Overall, she received an average rating of 4.9 out of a possible 5. She received a total of 423 points out of a possible total of 425 points. Some of the comments made regarding Mrs. Gillette are as follows. Through a combination of strategic leadership, strong communication skills, and effective management of transportation initiatives, Georgiana has played a pivotal role in advancing the region's transportation goals. Our executive director is one of the state's true leaders in transportation planning organization who prioritizes projects for the county and can explain what the TPO does to the average citizen. Georgiana has shown strong leadership and commitment to advancing transportation and planning goals for the Space Coast. She is very knowledgeable and willing to think outside the box to make things happen. She is a superior executive director in all manners. At this time, I'm going to pause for the room to accept the executive director's review and scores.
Motion, Mr. Allender, second, Mr. Blake. All right, all those in favor of accepting the scores as written, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Ms. Ottinger.
Okay, and prior to this meeting, the executive committee met earlier today and discussed the merit aspect of the evaluation and review for fiscal year 2025. Discussion took place regarding the staff reiterating how our director makes the TPO look good, and it's some of the highest scoring that has been observed in many years. excuse me?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
You're correct.
That said, there was discussion regarding Mrs. Gillette's request to not be considered for an annual raise, but there was discussion regarding a merit raise, a one-time bonus, to acknowledge the exceptional work that she has been doing. That said, the discussion resulted in a recommendation for a one-time merit bonus of $4,000 for the fiscal year 2025. At this time, we will pause to have the room consider adopting the recommendation for a one-time bonus of $4,000.
Is there a motion to accept the recommendation of $4,000 bonus? Ms. Hanley? In a second by Ms. Foy. By Ms. Foy. I'm going to change your name for you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you and congratulations, Georgiana. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deserve 8, if you ask me.
It's very generous. Thank you very much.
Deserve 8.
We are very blessed to have her here. Yes, we are. The next two items, C and D, are roll call. I'm reminding myself that they are roll call. Item C, approval resolution 26-08, fiscal year 2630, the TIP roll forward amendment. Number 1, Georgiana.
All right. This is a routine housekeeping item. This is our first amendment to the new Transportation Improvement Program, our TIP. So each year, the DOT develops the tentative work program that's adopted in July each year, and the TPO incorporates the tentative work program into the new Transportation Improvement Program. Year 1 of the TIP and the work program should always match. However, when the new TIP and the work program become effective, there are often projects that were supposed to get authorized prior to June 30th, but did not. So these projects will automatically roll forward in the DOT's work program, but not in the TIP. Hence the need to just reconcile the two documents and bring the new TIP up to date to ensure that the projects that are using federal funding can be authorized prior to the start of the new federal fiscal year, which is October 1st. And this is accomplished through what is called a roll forward TIP amendment. In your package on page 88, you'll see the DOT letter requesting this amendment and the roll forward report, which is attachment 1, and it's a whole list of projects, quite a few projects. So we are recommending approval of the roll forward amendment to just be incorporated into our new TIP in the appendix.
Are there any questions on this item? In that case, I'll ask for, is there a motion to accept the TIP, the roll forward TIP? Ms. Hanley? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms.
Yeah.
Ms. Hanley, followed by, seconded by Ms. Delaney. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Do a roll call vote.
See, that's why I said that. It's a roll call vote. Zoe, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Altman?
Yes.
Allender?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
Capizzi?
Yes.
Cole? Connors?
Yes.
Delaney?
Yes.
Foy? Hammer?
Yes.
Hanley?
Yes.
Jaffe?
Yes.
Smith?
Aye.
Young?
Yes. Okay. All right, thank you. Motion still carries. Okay. The next one, item D, adoption of the resolution 26-07, Advanced 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan. Sarah.
All right, once again, good afternoon, Sarah Crom. At your place, you should have a copy of our executive summary for the Long Range Transportation Plan. The purpose of this document was to summarize the very hefty document into something that is much more digestible, that you yourself could use as a tool in having discussions with other elected officials, your city staff, other organizations on some of the projects that the TPO has accomplished, but then also looking towards the future and kind of the funding deficit, as well as also the projects that are funded within the 2050 LRTP. If you need additional copies, just let me know. We only had 30 printed today, just in case you guys change it up on me, but we'll print some more. All right, so I am going to keep this short and sweet because we've been spending the last 8 months really talking to you and going through the different steps of the plan. So just a quick reminder, the bridge, our planning bridge is, we start off with the long-range transportation plan. So really what we'll be adopting today is the foundation for the next 5 years of the needs and funding of our transportation network. Then projects are able to get pulled out on the list of project priorities and ultimately put into the TIP once the funding is on the project. A long-range transportation plan must forecast the travel demand of people and goods in our region. It identifies mobility needs for the next 25 years. We then prioritize those needs for state and federal funding. And then projects must be cost feasible in the LRTP in order to move forward. So as I mentioned, we've been talking quite a bit this year with you all, but really we started this project in the fall of 2023. So this has been a 2-year-long project of going through developing the goals, objectives, performance measures, figuring out the issues and opportunities and the needs with our partners, that not just the municipalities, but all of our modal partners, going through public involvement, assisting Space Coast Area Transit and developing their transit development plan, and ultimately getting into the financial resources and putting projects to money, or money to projects, excuse me. We've also done quite a bit of public engagement. We had, that actually should say 8 LRTP working groups. I apologize for the typo. LRTP working group meetings with this consisted of local government staff as well as partner agencies. They reviewed documents, provided feedback, and were really our sounding board throughout the project. We had additional meetings with environmental partners as well as also transportation and modal partners. In person, we had our 4 public workshops that received the FPRA award. We had our June 2025 open house. And then we also engaged virtually with a webinar and a project video and some other things. So not done in a vacuum. Just as a friendly reminder of this is where we're at, where we had a drastic increase of $722 million between our 2045 and our 2050 LRTP for us to be able to put on projects, which ultimately left us with a $2.6 billion deficit with only 9% of our needs being funded. So the cost feasible plan, as you're aware of, we ended up building based on our list of project priorities. This board spent a lot of time in May really honing in that list, and we recognize that that's the priorities of our region, and so that's how we developed our cost feasible plan, which was presented in July. After we presented it to you in July, we went out to public comment period of 45 days, July 14th through August 28th, as well as also we had the webinar during that period of time. And at your place, you do have a summary of the public comments received. At this time, we do not recommend any changes to the cost feasible plan based on the public comments we received. We did have one public comment that came in after the public comment period discussing the need to widen and elevate 528, which, as you know, is already happening. So with that, I would recommend the adoption of Resolution 26-07 of the Advanced 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan.
Thank you, Sarah. We have a motion by Blake, and I'm sorry I didn't see who did this.
Smith, Colonel Smith.
Smith. All right, thank you, Blake and Smith. And this is a roll call vote. Zoe, please call the roll.
Altman?
Yes.
Allender?
Yes.
Blake?
Evans, yes.
Capizzi?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Connors?
Yes.
Delaney?
Yes.
Feltner? Foy? Hammer?
Yes.
Hanley?
Yes.
Jaffe?
Yes.
Smith? Young?
Yes. Okay. All right, thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, the next item.
So I just want to give a little introduction before I have Travis come up, just so that you know the flow of this item. We're going to approve all 3 items underneath one resolution. It'll just be much cleaner for the amendment to the Bike Ped Master Plan. But the way Travis is going to do this is he's going to present the Southern Broad Trails Master Plan, pause for questions, then present the North Merritt Island Pioneer Trail Feasibility Study, pause for questions, and then I'll come up and wrap us up. So with that.
Will that be a roll call vote too as well?
No.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Travis Hills with Kittleson and Associates, and I'm going to present on the Southern Brevard Trails Master Plan first. Before I dive in, at your place, you'll see a map followed by a series of tables. These are the recommended trails for the Southern Brevard Trails Master Plan. I'll get to these at the very end of the presentation, but just wanted to let you know in case you wanted to look as I was going through the presentation. So the presentation outline, I'll discuss the project vision, goals, and the study area. We'll very briefly talk through existing conditions analysis and a little bit on stakeholder and public outreach. I'll then talk through trail hierarchy and typology system, the recommended trails network, and then how we prioritize those trails, hopefully for a future implementation. So the vision and goals of our study were really to promote, continue to promote that active lifestyle in Southern Brevard County. So the area today, there's a lot of recreational trails, there's a lot of folks out riding, walking, doing different scenic activities. So really trying to find a way to galvanize that trail network in the southern part of the county, promote that recreation, public health, the local economic development, while promoting environmental stewardship and continuing to enhance that quality of life. So our study area, as I've mentioned, the southern portion of the county, basically everything south of Palm Bay Road down to the Indian River County line, the St. Johns River to the west, and US 1 to the east. So then we like to frame up kind of where we're at within the project development process for our planning studies. So as you'll see with this inverted triangle, we're really at the very beginning. So this is what we would call a master plan, a sub-area study that really ties into those overall long-range transportation planning efforts, really trying to make sure that we're putting projects that we identify on a list that then hopefully can move forward down the inverted triangle into further study, into ultimately design, potentially right away, and ultimately construction. As you see on the right side in the lower right, the different timelines, ultimately we're between probably 10 to 15 to 20 years out from this plan to actually get anything implemented in the ground. So unfortunately, you won't see construction equipment out there tomorrow, but hopefully this is the first step in that process. So very briefly, summary of our existing conditions analysis. So we reviewed numerous plans, studies, and policies for the local agencies in Southern Brevard County. We then mapped the different existing and planned recreational, sidewalk, trail, and bike facilities in that portion of the county, and then overlaid that with land use, destinations, and demographic data. Ultimately, that helped create our active transportation propensity index. This really helped us identify where most folks would likely be walking and biking in the southern portion of the county. So like I mentioned, the existing and planned trails. So as you'll see on the map here, the purple are the existing kind of shared use paths that are along the roadway. So those are those wider sidewalks that we see. We also have the green, which are those shared use trails that are off-road, the off the roadway network. And then we have the brown and the blue, which are those kind of more scenic, those unpaved trails, and then blueways as well. So then I mentioned the active transportation propensity index. This is where we would see the most proportion of people typically walking and biking. As you all may expect, Palm Bay is really kind of the hub for the southern portion of the county. And then we also have a little bit down in Barefoot Bay and Mico in the southeast part of the county. So really what we're trying to do is focus on connecting these different areas in Southern Brevard and really creating that cohesive trail network. So very briefly on our public outreach. So we had extensive public outreach as a part of this project. We had 3 project working group meetings that really focused on the local municipalities, the local jurisdictions, and the local stakeholders within Southern Brevard County. We then held 6 agency stakeholder meetings, so kind of one-on-one with those different jurisdictions. So really kind of getting a feel for, as a group, everybody's hearing and talking about the same things, and then individually also hearing out their different concerns as well. We also had held in-person and virtual public open houses with an online comment tool that was open throughout the course of that public involvement. The in-person open house had 70 attendees. We held that event in Grant Valcaria, had great turnout, a lot of great discussion, and a lot of great support for the project. And then we're now into the final board and council presentation. So we presented to all the folks you see on the right-hand side, and we're wrapping up with you all today. So very briefly, the summary of our key public outreach takeaways. Really, folks preferred those off-road trails, the unpaved trails, those scenic trails that get people out into nature. That was really the crux of a lot of the comments that we heard. Ultimately, that really kind of matches with what I think we all would say would be that more comfortable facility. Folks not necessarily liking to ride their bike or walk along a busy 4 or 6 lane road. So really consistent with what we heard from the public. So then very briefly on the trail hierarchy. So there were 3 different types of trails that we proposed as a part of our network. First, the primary trails. These are those more region-wide trails, the showcase trails throughout the different throughout the county, or that went between counties. So those kind of bigger regional trails. Secondary trails, these were a little bit shorter than those primary, but would cover, go across the city or connect between primary trails in southern Brevard County. And then tertiary, this is our kind of 3rd level of trails, and these are more of those local neighborhood level trails that get you to different destinations within that local municipality. So for our recommended trails network, what you'll see very consistent between the recommended and then the prioritization, a very kind of data-driven approach, really backed up by our public and our stakeholder outreach. So really kind of working toward what works from a data perspective, what makes the most sense in terms of prioritization and ranking, and then going through and getting our public and our stakeholder feedback to confirm that different network. So just very briefly, I want to bring up our existing and planned trails one more time. And then if you look closely, you'll see the existing and planned trails kind of fade to the background, and then all of the proposed trails that we're recommending in southern Brevard County overlaid on top of that. And then as just a very kind of high-level overview, so we had over 300 total existing or planned miles of trails in southern Brevard County. We're looking to expand that network by over 140 miles of new recommended trails in southern Brevard County. This would, if implemented, bring our total to about 466 total miles of trail in this portion of the county. That's spread across shared use paths that are off or on road, on-street facilities like sidewalks, bike lanes, and then those nature surface trails and designated paddling trails. So like I mentioned in how we got to the recommended trails, there was that prioritization process, very data-driven, very public outreach and stakeholder heavy. And that led us to the table and maps, or the tables and the map that you see in front of you. I'm just highlighting the top 10 in the map on the screen. And then very briefly on the table, the #1 overall prioritized trail corridor was along the C1 canal. We see a lot of opportunity there to really kind of connect the different areas of Palm Bay along that canal. And then there's a lot of other roadways on here that are part of the Southern Brevard Al Tuttle Trail Network. So that trail has different portions that are built today. So we look to really kind of fill the gaps along that showcase trail in the southern portion of the county. So implementation and next steps. So I know we've talked a lot about implementation, especially when we're talking LRTP. Not a lot of funding to go around, but this is really where we can get that interagency partnership to really push these different corridors forward into that next level of planning. So not to overwhelm you with the graphic that you see down below, but really what we're trying to emphasize is it takes a village. There's lots of different roles and responsibilities that both the local jurisdictions and different stakeholders and agencies play to really move these different projects forward. And then just at a high level, that coordination between the TPO, the local jurisdictions, and the other agencies, both on the next stages of planning, and then ultimately the branding and the awareness of those trails when they get built. That next phase, like I mentioned, hopefully conduct a feasibility study or 2 on the different, on one of those top prioritized trails. And then ultimately leveraging TPO support for that technical assistance to push these into the next phases of planning, look at diverse funding sources, and then hopefully to expand those partnerships between the different agencies in the southern portion of the county. So with that being said, I will take any questions.
Go back to the map real quick.
Yeah.
Mr. Hammer.
This one?
Or no, the other one that had the... Okay, right there. Do you see where it shows Bayside Lakes and Kogan, and there's a bunch of green saying it's an existing shared trail?
Yes.
How there's like a bunch of squiggly lines. It looks like it goes through the golf course.
Kind of down in the southeast portion.
It's right in the dead middle.
You can't tell it's lines on that thing.
Yeah, I see it, I see it.
Yes, the green portion.
Yeah, it's a solid green that looks like
Just west of 95.
right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Does the owner of the property know that that's part of our trail? Because that's no trespassing, and they're trying to build a big subdivision there. And if we have it there, there's got to be some kind of misunderstanding between either us or them. So.
Which squiggly is it again, Travis, show me?
The golf course that's closed.
I thought that's Fred Poppy Park.
No.
Fred Poppy.
No, Fred Poppy's out there. That's the golf course. That's Bayside.
Yeah,
the Majors.
so that would have been an existing, designated as an existing facility, and so it was probably those golf cart paths or something
Yeah.
on the golf course.
Yeah.
And every layer that we received for our mapping, we got from the city. And so we could follow up with city staff on that, and if we
Yeah.
need to remove those specifically because they're on private, we can certainly do that.
Also,
but I don't know
if we have given them any funding for this, I would really like to know. Because it's closed down now and people can't access it. So if we've done any kind of funding to where people can use these trails.
Not specific. So this is all just planning. So we're identifying the existing and the planned trails. And so, like I mentioned, if that was an existing trail, we would have got that and mapped it. So no funding from this project.
Okay, because it says existing. The solid green is existing shared use trail.
Correct. So we're just mapping what was already out there today. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm still confused, but okay.
I think what you're, if I'm hearing you right, are you saying that you're worried that the city of Palm Bay has given?
No, TPO has.
That TPO, okay.
Because existing means it already exists. It
Right.
doesn't need to be done.
Right.
So if it's somehow linked to being existing, like it says, that means it should be accessible by the public.
Right.
So I'm still confused, but I'm not.
Right. So I don't know how to.
I mean, existing means it's current.
If it is, we'll follow up with John and Christine, and if it's from what you're saying, we'll get an updated an updated map layer.
Okay.
I can assure you that there was no TPO funding put on the building of those trails, which clearly it was just a snafu and review from when we were, going through, looking at aerials and providing it to the municipalities to review.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So easy fix.
Mr. Smith.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So I know you're not going north to show Melbourne, but my question relates to the Southwest Trail. You familiar with that trail in the city of Melbourne?
I am not.
I am.
The TPO did fund that one.
Yes.
Okay, well, see that, Mike, you heard that, Mike? But, so I guess what I'm trying to understand is what type of trail is that? And then is there a connection point to the other trails here in the southern, or is it something different? Is it a different kind of project?
So, where's the clicker? So the Melbourne Southwest Trail was more of a neighborhood type trail and not a regional trail, which the TPO did fund and support. The project originally did have some connections into the Showcase Trail network, but as it evolved, it definitely became more of a sidewalk project and less of a trail project. That didn't quite connect into the other network. We do have our full Showcase Trail network, which this map is in your agenda package. Oh my, give me a second. Oh, there we go. And so within your agenda package, you can see our full Showcase Trail network, and so you'll see that there are longer north-south connections and several east-west connections. Going back to the Southern Brevard Trails Master Plan, the purpose of that was that there was a request from the town of Malabar for multiple trail connections that were not within any kind of plan, and so we were unable to put money on them. And so rather than just throwing lines on a map, we said, well, let's actually do a sub-area study, and that's how that kind of came to be as far as the Southern Brevard. So the Southwest Melbourne Trail doesn't necessarily connect into these same trails directly, and at one point it did connect into the East Coast Greenway, but I don't believe it does anymore. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, that's good enough.
And that was due to some pushback from the public when we went out to
Correct.
do a public meeting.
The
So-
public meetings that the city of Melbourne held, there was 2 of them. They got quite intense with public outcry.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, any questions before we move on? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Well, Sarah already flipped through the other presentations, so do I need to go through? No, I'm kidding. All right, so next presentation is the North Merritt Island Pioneer Trail Feasibility Study. So I'll go through the project introduction, existing conditions, corridor alignments that we looked at, a little bit on the Pine Island Conservation Area, summarize our public involvement, and then potential next steps. So for our project introduction, so we are moving up towards more of the northern portion of the county. So we are on North Merritt Island, north of State Route 528. And then you see on the map there, the kind of white dashed outline, that was our study area bounded by the 2 rivers to the west and to the east. This was an FDOT Sun Trail program funded study. So FDOT was involved and was a key stakeholder in this project. This was done in conjunction also with Brevard County Parks and Rec. This trail was identified on the TPO Showcase Trails Network, so that was really kind of the impetus for the study, going through, doing a little bit more analysis on this potential alignment to move this further in the project development process. So as I mentioned, you saw this graphic on the previous presentation, but we are in that operational analysis planning study. We call it a feasibility study, so kind of that next level down in terms of our project planning process. So the purpose and need for our feasibility study for our trail was to provide a safe trail connection from 528 up to the Pine Island Conservation Area. The needs were fourfold, so we had system linkage, really providing that continuous north-south trail. Safety, providing a physically separated trail from the roadway facilities, really for those tourists, those residents, those non-motorized users. Spur economic development, and then continue to provide that kind of safe and comfortable recreational facility for North Merritt Island. Very briefly on existing conditions analysis. So this is a high-level summary, but some of the key inputs were related back to the different roadway types, whether they were paved or unpaved. That would help us determine what type of trail facility we could put along these potential corridors on North Merritt Island. We also looked at existing parks, trails, and ped bike facilities and kind of how we were connecting the different destinations in North Merritt Island. We also looked at crash data, and no surprise, Courtney Parkway was the focus of a lot of our crashes in this study area, and the focus of our ped bike crashes as well. So really looking to maybe potentially stay off of North Courtney Parkway for our preferred trail facility. So in terms of the potential corridors that we reviewed, basically every major roadway north-south and every minor road east-west was reviewed for potential applicability for this trail. So the blue corridors, obviously State Road 3, North Courtney Parkway, kind of right up the middle. We also looked at North Tropical Trail on the west, and then the portion of Judson Road that starts at Chase Hammock and goes north, turns into Pine Island Road, and then curves around to Pine Island Conservation Area. The east-west corridors you see here as well, basically, like I said, every single east-west road on the island was also reviewed for applicability. So when we looked at these corridors, we really wanted to focus on potential fatal flaws. Like I mentioned, this is that feasibility study. So really getting into, does it meet the different purpose and need elements for our overall trail facility? And then is it supported by the public? Are we gonna have a safe facility? Do we have potential right-of-way, swales, ditches, or utility impacts? Those were the key focus of the fatal flaws analysis. What we ended up finding was that Judson Road did not fully meet the purpose and need elements, and so with it only being a portion of the corridor, we stayed away from that facility. North Tropical Trail would provide that safe trail environment, but ultimately it was not supported by the public, so it did not move forward. And then State Road 3 Courtney Parkway is going to be the kind of recommended corridor at this point to stay on the map. It did have the highest number of crashes, but through our public outreach efforts and through coordination with DOT, we're going to keep State Road 3 on our network as the potential trail corridor. Like I mentioned, we also looked at those potential east-west corridors, really a bevy of issues with those, and they're all highlighted in red. I like to say if it was easy, it would have been done already. And so a lot of these facilities, environmental impacts, utility impacts, there are those really large swales, those drainage areas off the side of these roadways, really making it infeasible from kind of an engineering perspective to go out, potentially fill those in, or even take property on the other side of those ditches to put in trail facilities. Another area that we looked at was the environmentally endangered lands, EEL, the mosquito impoundment area. So this is kind of in the southeast portion of our study area. There were a few different issues with it, a couple being the gated pump station. This would restrict access to the public. There's also privately owned properties in the study area that becomes a right-of-way constraint. We also have a spillway along the southern berm, which would require a different pedestrian bridge to cross it. And then the connection along Hall Road, like I mentioned before, those large ditches, those large swales, really making it infeasible to get east-west along these minor streets. So the good news is that we are recommending a trail connection on the Pine Island Conservation Area. So starting down at Sam's house in the south, we had really great engagement with the EEL program, and really there was a lot of support for a paved trail on the EEL property on the Pine Island Conservation Area. It would start at Sam's house, it would traverse north and then cut across to one of the retention pond areas, go around the south side, and then come up to one of the southern parking lot areas on the north side, kind of west on Pine Island Road. Another key feature of this, we know that there's a large equestrian rider population out there. A lot of folks would like that equestrian kind of trail facility. So that typical section that you see in the upper right-hand corner would be the paved trail for the pedestrians and bicyclists, with a 6-foot pedestrian or equestrian trail offset to the left side of that as well. So I briefly mentioned support or lack thereof from the public, so just a very quick summary of that. We did hold an in-person public workshop in late March, followed by a virtual on April 1st. We had over 200 attendees. This was one of the largest public meetings that I had ever attended. A large majority of those folks were against the project. We had recommended an alignment along North Tropical Trail initially. We had presented concept plans. We wanted to go out to the public to gauge their support. There were concerns related to potential property impacts, drainage impacts, large oak tree impacts, and utility impacts. So overall, overwhelmingly negative from the public for that preferred alignment along North Tropical Trail, which is like what I mentioned before, we switched it over and we went with North Courtney Parkway as the recommended for this study. We also met with Mr. Tom Goodson as well, and he was not supportive of the project. He had ended up getting a lot of feedback from his constituents as well. So like I mentioned, North Merritt Island, Pioneer Trail, this will not move forward into that next phase of planning. Overall, I would say the project was a success because we did get that input before we went any further down the project development pipeline. The other good news, though, is that we do have some potential improvements and next steps that we wanted to kind of recognize for the community. We did hear quite a bit about filling in sidewalk gaps on North Tropical Trail. So even though we wouldn't be putting in a trail, looking to fill in sidewalk gaps, looking at shared lane markings for on-road bicyclists, really kind of encourage that, that road facility. And then the big thing was traffic calming. And as folks who maybe live in that area or know that area very well, Space Center traffic coming south in the PM really backs up on Courtney Parkway. So we heard from the residents, a lot of folks were going over to North Tropical and going far faster than the 35-mile-per-hour posted speed limit to kind of bypass all of that commuter traffic. So really kind of at the end of the day, still coming up with some improvements that we can hopefully get implemented for the community. Like I mentioned before, Courtney Parkway, that's going to be our recommended trail facility. And then we also have the Sam's House to Pine Island Trail facility that we're recommending as well. So with that, and as a part of the resolution, we're going to propose both of those trails to be added to our Showcase Trails network, and that's going to be up for adoption here in a few minutes. So with that being said, I will take any additional questions.
Ms. Delaney.
I had, even though this isn't my district, I had some residents in this area reach out because some of them own some property over here and they also live in my district. The Pine Island, I know that the equestrian community is extremely excited about that, so that's awesome. But I was wondering, this area, are there any private property owners in this area, or is it all conservation?
So basically on the south side here,
Okay.
that is private, but we're staying on EEL property for our proposed trail.
And so I'm pretty sure that one of the people that I talked to was that landowner, and they were concerned because of they have cows, and they're concerned about people being back there cutting his fence, feeding the animals, all of that kind of stuff. So how far will the trail be from the property owners' property?
It's still to be determined. That would be something that would get flushed out if this were to move forward into that next phase of design. And if that was a concern, that could be something where the trail could maybe be
a little further.
pushed a little bit further.
This,
Yeah.
this section, this is already a maintenance road that EEL staff is already using. So I think probably they already have it fairly offset, or there would probably have already been issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I brought that up.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Back to Sarah. Sarah says she's going to wrap this up. Okay.
All right. Okay, so several months ago, Georgiana and I were approached by the Florida Greenways and Trails Foundation. They were conducting a concept feasibility study on a potential Sun Trail regional trail project called the Lake to Lake Trail. It goes from Lake Monroe to Lake Okeechobee. And they basically requested that we add 2 east-west connectors to eventually, to take our residents to where they could technically ride to this regional trail. The Lake to Lake Trail has been approved by the Regional Planning Council and will go to the Florida Greenways and Trails Council, which is ultimately how you get on the Office of Greenways and Trails. Sorry, I'm mixing my acronyms. Office of Greenways and Trails regional map, which is how you access Sun Trail funding. And so we were requested to add these 2 east-west connectors, and just in the spirit of regionalism and creating a full network throughout the state of Florida. So what we are proposing is that an amendment to our bicycle and pedestrian master plan that to include the Southern Brevard Trails Master Plan, all of those trail alignments, modify the Showcase Trail Network to remove the North Merritt Island Pioneer Trail alignment and reflect the recommendations of the study area for the Sam's House to Pine Island Trail and North Courtney Trail, and to add these 2 east-west connectors on US 192 and State Road 50. So with that, I would like to request a recommended approval of Resolution 26-05, amendments to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan.
All right, thank you. Any questions or a motion?
So moved.
Wait a minute, I got a question.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, Ms. Hanley.
On adding the 192, that is like as Chairman Young knows, that is like the death trap of the south end of the county. That's the only road that we could add in there. I mean,
Can I note that this is west of 95, so it is in that very rural area where there's nothing.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. And the answer is no, is until we get down into Indian River County, there's not a southern point that, crosses into
So I was thinking
Seminole,
like
yeah.
even O'Galley, I think even O'Galley Boulevard would be easier to go on.
But O'Galley doesn't go into Seminole. We're
Well,
trying to,
192 doesn't go into Seminole.
or is it Osceola? Excuse me, not Seminole, Osceola, excuse me.
Okay, because I was
Yeah.
just thinking going 192, O'Galley Boulevard, and then we're going to go into the Heritage, what's the one that connects us? Heritage Park, St. John's Park.
St. John's Heritage Parkway.
Yeah, that goes into there they have some nice wide.
St. John's Heritage Parkway does have some really nice wide sidewalks,
So then
yeah.
I'm just thinking that rather than using the 192, even using Ellis Road once we get that going. Because that would be, are we going to have sidewalks on the bike trail on that one?
It'll have sidewalks and bike lanes, yeah.
Because I'm just thinking rather than going, hopefully it's going to be away from the road. Because if you right there, there's some spots right on there with the traffic. So, other than the 192 area, can we change that later on down the road?
I think that while these are all awesome, ultimately having a network of areas, you know, with St. John's Heritage Parkway and Ellis, but it doesn't serve the purpose of getting Space Coast residents all the way to the Lake to Lake Trail.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it will get them over there. It's just that you won't be on, there'll be a little bit farther distance away from where the 192, you're right next to the road, just about. You got that little thing that will take, if you had a car that blowout tire or had to move over, it's gonna take your rim out thing there. But if you're gonna do going on Heritage, you've got a little wider space. You got grass between the road and the bike
So
path.
this would be looking at a new facility on 192. We're not expecting people to go ride on the.
Yeah, and you know what I mean. Right now, I'd be like, you know, everybody jokes about
Ultimately, what this is trying to set up is for a regional connectivities that are Sun Trail eligible.
Okay, that's what I'm just looking at going long term because nobody's gonna.
And if something better comes available, then absolutely. But I don't ever see O'Galley crossing St. John's River. And you know, like that's.
You just want a direct route. You don't want.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just thinking that if you're going to go, let's say you're going down US 1 to 182 and doing that, that's like taking your life in your hands. Everybody just holds their breath.
Did you want to make the motion on that, Ms. Hanley, to approve Resolution 26-05?
Please.
We had a motion and a second.
Yeah, we had a motion and a second already.
Hammer Times made the motion, not second. Somebody made a motion, but it wasn't second. I second.
All good.
All right, thank you. All those in favor then, if we have a motion and a second, which I normally take my notes, I don't see it here. All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Just for the record, who did the second?
Blake.
Okay.
Blockade.
Thank you very much. All right, the next item.
It's Mike and Mike and Mike.
Item number 6, presentation of the mission readiness through community resilience.
Good afternoon. I think I'm the last thing standing in front of you and the adjournment, so I will make this a very quick presentation. I'm Jennifer Rupert. I'm the Resilience Officer with the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council. We're, for those who don't know, a place-based organization, kind of here to, we're reflective of what you have within your local governments, economic development, emergency management, resilience planning, all underneath one roof. And we are here essentially to expand the capacities and capability of your local governments, find unique funding mechanisms to get additional capital into the region to build some of these projects with the shortfall that's happening kind of all around the region. The place-based resilience is kind of what we're kind of focusing on, or what I focus on mostly, and it involves understanding unique risk of a particular place, and then figuring out ways to mitigate that risk and bring in capital to move that project forward. And we do it for a number of reasons. We want to minimize damage and loss, promote economic stability, of course, empower community and strengthen the social cohesion to fix these complex issues, and ideally do it by leveraging the data from different organizations and drive those efforts to target effective solutions. So with that, the Military Installation Resilience Review was a project or a grant funding mechanism that we utilized from the Department of Defense, built essentially to support long-term resilience and sustainability of the mission of the installations. In this case, you can see they're conducted all over the state of Florida. In this case, we focused on Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, Patrick Space Force Base, NO2, a couple at the port there, all the way up into Titusville, and then went inland to NSA Orlando. So 3 main installations and then some special project areas that we included. We are covering in this next 18-month time frame. We just received an additional award to cover the last 2 installations in the state of Florida, so we'll be continuing working with the Department of Defense. Through this 18-month process, which ended up being about a 22-month process, We held many meetings, really with the outcome that we were looking for, about 140 recommendations, which included projects, recommendations for policy, and then particular proposals for intergovernmental coordination mechanisms, so MOUs, those types of agreements, where if we put those in place now, when we are ready to move those particular projects forward, it will become that much easier. And we did that through policy committees and technical advisory committees. Georgiana sat on the policy committee. We had Sarah as a technical advisor. We are also with a number of different good partners. While this project was taking place, as it kind of opens the door to additional Department of Defense funding with this military installation resilience review, we were able to obtain, as I'm sure most of you are aware at this point, early planning dollars to move two projects forward. One of them being City of Cocoa wanted a redundant water line south of Patrick on the 404. So we were able to pull in around $1.3 million, part of that through the Office of Local Defensive Community Cooperation, and then the matching funds came from the State of Florida Department of Commerce. The State of Florida has said over and over they are committed to moving these projects forward and obviously supporting our military. So we were able to help kind of facilitate that and get that funding in for the City of Cocoa. In addition, I'm sure most of you are aware, Linda Weatherman and her team also pulled in some additional funding for the wastewater treatment facility to movement of that phase 2 study. So that was similarly funded, a little bit from the Office of Local Defense and Community Cooperation, some from the Department of Commerce at the state level, and then of course Brevard County kicking in some additional funding. And we're hoping to bring more of this kind of work, not just planning dollars, but actually construction dollars into the region. And that City of Cocoa was for planning and design, so that will be moving forward. This was the 18-month time frame. You see kind of on the top of the frame there are all of the tasks that we were assigned to do by the grant. All of the bottom is kind of the underneath the water, the ducks on the pond. Our feet were constantly moving, the data we had to gather, the vulnerability assessment that we had to conduct, identifying those projects, putting them all together, and doing engagement all along, trying to find the alignment with the organizations that were already doing the work in place, just like the TPO has talked about today. Some of the vulnerability assessment results with that mission lens, at the forefront of our thinking was portable water systems, electric power systems. I think in our very first meeting, actually in this room, we had FPL stand up and kind of say, we don't have the capacity to serve the military to date, and we need to figure out some solutions for that. Obviously, that's a risk. That's a long-term vulnerability to that mission, and we needed to figure out ways to rectify that. Just as an example, so you see the rated the risk to the mission, low to high, and this is all included in the report. We had several projects. These are full project packages that kind of are plug and play. If you're going to talk with an elected leader or if you're going to go after a particular grant, you can take one of these packages. Every bit of piece of information is in those packages, along with policy recommendations, the type of funding mechanisms you can go after, and then some partnerships that we would recommend, all addressing all of the different risks and vulnerabilities that we identified through the 18-month process. The next step of this, it's not just ever quite done, is now to move towards implementation and pulling in that capital to get some of these projects done and on the ground. So adopting and accepting came last month or a couple months ago at the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council that was unanimously adopted. Now we're going to be moving and starting to work with the particular organizations to find alignment and integrate some of the projects big picture that we identified, some of which you heard about today and are in your long-range transportation plan, and then work to help find capital and bring it into the region and implement. We are establishing an implementation committee to do that, and that should be up and running in the fall. Long-term, funding opportunities here with this MIR, with this mechanism that we've now completed, we can move into implementation, and it really opens up a lot of federal funding through the Department of Defense to put these in place. There is a website, of course, a story map that ad nauseating detail will tell you every bit and piece that we did and uncovered during the project process. You can follow that QR code as well as every single project package is located on this website that you could download and then work to move and implement forward. I know that was a quick 30,000 overview. I'm happy to answer any additional questions that any of you might have, or you can go back to that website.
Are there questions for Ms. Rupert? Yes, Ms. Delaney.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the work that you guys put into this. For those that don't know, I serve on this board for Brevard County, and I'm just so excited that this is done, and hopefully you can help us chase some of those dollars to bring back to Brevard. So thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Rupert? All right, thank you. That was an excellent presentation. Thank you very much. All right, any other comments from the board for the good of the organization? Any public comment? We have any, okay. So we're going to meet back here again October 9th at 1:30. Do I have a motion to adjourn? See, I recognize this one. Thank you.